up for a second.
But you're contradicting yourself,
Shut up for a second. So what I'm saying,
how can I listen to a contradiction?
You actually it's a narrative, not sex. So if you go into a situation with the understanding that we just having sex, that is not trauma. The narrative that you actually formed is
okay. So now you're placing another word, and you're saying that we understand it. I'm saying there's cases where maybe
I manipulated you.
So no, it's not. It's not manipulation. It's
the narrative.
Listen to what I'm saying. Look at society today. There's cases all over the places where one may know that they have intention to just have sex, but the other person involved does not have the same intention to have sex. They actually think you're into them. Thus,
that is part of the trauma, is what I'm saying. Sometimes
that's all I'm asking.
Trauma.
So I'm saying sex. These people who are unaware and they don't have any understanding that they're just.
I think you're moving a goalpost, and I think you're manipulating the conversation for men. Right. If a grown man and a grown woman consent to have, it is not sexual trauma. Bruiser, stop doing that.
I didn't say they both consented to just do it. I'm saying that
you said marriage.
What?
You said marriage, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes one person is lying about I want to get married, and it actually could subtly traumatize the other person because they just like, wait, what just happened? Because there's a break in their narrative, and they just like, wait, what just happened? You feel me? That feeling of damn, it just happened again.
All right, hold on. So I got a question. Should women have sex outside of marriage?
Actually, no, because it's
no. Actually, no.
So if women shouldn't have sex outside of marriage, then, and we understand that the more bodies that a woman accumulate, regardless of whether it's consensual or not, it actually affects her in a negative way. Do y'all think that that's a traumatic experience?
That was my question.
Depending on her narrative, no. It depends on her narrative. Like I said, it's about the narrative.
If you're having sex outside of marriage, which is supposed to be the fruitful way to do it, if you're having it outside of marriage, marriage is the container for sex. So if you're having it outside of marriage, then it will be traumatic. You will have troubles. There will be things that will happen to you because you did it out of order.
Thank you.
Even if you enjoy it out of order, that's traumatic.
I disagree. It depends on where. Because if a person doesn't want to get married,
it's going to be a traumatic.
So
depends on what their narrative is. Precious. Some people just want to have sex. That's
we're talking about marriage and sex and virgins and spirituality.
So nobody saying about no virgin. That's what Ali was talking about an hour ago.
Anton just said.
Why do they call it trauma bonding? And then why do they say that people
thank you.
Well, trauma bonding ain't really got nothing to do with sex. It's about
it has a lot
people having a traumatic upbringing and they relate with each other due to their traumatic upbringing.
It has a lot to do with sex also, because a lot of times what happens,
sex is a part of it, but it's not it.
One of the reasons why you should not have sex, just randomly have sex, is because then that becomes the thing that you substantiate as the foundation of your relationship, and it's not built on anything more than the superficial things, right? And so that's why when people know when other issues come up, they're unable to truly solve for it, or they then, I'll give you another example. We say that you can't unsee the experiences that you have, and this is why we say women shouldn't have a lot of bodies, right? If it wasn't an issue, then guys wouldn't care about body count, because then you have to substantiate the idea that, okay, one of the reasons why she can't really be able to bond with this guy, or she can't get emotionally connected, or so on and so forth, is because of all of the experiences that she had before him with so many other guys, right? If that wasn't an issue, then every adult that always consented to and had consensual sex wouldn't have issues, right?
I just want to read trauma bonding so everybody's clear. It looks like from the scientific definition of trauma bonding, there has to be an abuser in play. And it says trauma bonding occurs when a narcissist repeats a cycle of abuse with another person, which fuels a need for validation and love from the person being abused. That's a scientific Everybody look it up. Look,
And
I'm
let's
not,
look at
this
the
is
word
not me.
abuse.
Hold on. This is not me versus anybody. I just want to
Mhm.
put the meaning out there because I don't want somebody to think that's because they're having sex
Right.
consensually with a woman or a man that's been through
Right.
something that they're taking advantage of them. And that's not the case. I just don't want to mislead the audience. That's
So
it.
think about this, Sheba. If a person is abusing the opportunity to sleep with you because they're lying to you, right? Because abuse isn't just sometimes you can abuse drugs, you can abuse an opportunity, right? I started working with Anton and I just don't do nothing Anton tells me to do, and I'm abusing, so you can abuse things. So when it comes to the narrative that I told a bruiser, when you abuse the opportunity to do something because you're lying to somebody, that is part of the abuse also. So
But we're not supposed to take drugs.
I understand what you're saying.
To use drugs, and it's by very definition, is to alter something that's supposed to be natural.
In your brain.
So you're not supposed to take it at all. It's abuse in the ingestion of drugs in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is the very foundation of what I'm saying. If you're doing something outside of what it was normally intended for, which sex was supposed to be for married couples, it was not supposed to be for everybody to do what it is that they're supposed to do, then how do we then revise it to mean something that we want it to mean just because everybody is doing it the way that they want to do it?
I agree with you.
Not argue with you, but that's the way the human brain
I agree
works.
with you.
That's the way the human brain
I
works.
think it's
Don't argue with me though. I should have just put it in
your
Anton
brain is
terms.
going to be incongruent with just having sex, and it's not going to be trauma.
Hold on, I think Lucky was trying to get in. Then we go to Lady Di. Go ahead, Lucky.
No, I was just gonna add to what Anton is saying. I think the answer typically that we're missing is most people have been taught that it's okay to have sex out of wedlock is based on trauma. Like how you have sex, with gender you have sex with, all of that. And I think there's a bit of ignorance to the conversation because it's like, not saying anyone's ignorant, but even myself learning. I'm just saying there's a bit of ignorance to it because there's different ways it can be inflicted in many different ways. You can experience trauma just by what you see, the household you were raised in, maybe your friends, you saw something at school, maybe something happened to you. There's many different things that can inflict trauma. It could have been that first time, your peer pressure, a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? Where when you lose your virginity, when this happened, because you're so broken, you operate in insecurities, which a lot of people do. So you're out here dating with that mindset, and people can see that you're weak. People can see that you don't have this. Your intentions could be good, but you also become, like he's saying, a prey, a target for another person who is traumatic. So they're looking at opportunities. So I just kind of wanted to wrap that up and just say that's what I understood from everybody. And that kind of go back to what I was saying earlier about being a virgin.